Line number 41 to 49. At the violet hour, when the eyes and back turn upward from the desk, when the human engine waits. Like a taxi throbbing waiting. I Tiresias, though blind, throbbing between two lives. Old man with wrinkled female breasts, can see. At the violet hour, the evening hour that strives homeward, and brings the sailor home from sea. The typist home at tea time, clears her breakfast, lights her stove, and lays out food in tins. Explanation. The line, at the violet hour, when the eyes and back turn upward from the desk, creates a sense of transition from a workday to a time of leisure. The use of color violet, and imagery the eyes and back turn upward, convey a sense of relaxation and relief. The human engine, waiting to leave work further emphasizes this idea of transition. The speaker, Tiresias, is an interesting figure as he is both male and female, and is also blind. The idea of gender and identity is explored through his presence in the poem, and his blindness adds an element of sensory deprivation that is also present throughout the Wasteland. Quote, the use of the sailor and the typist as examples of people returning home suggests a sense of routine and familiarity. The description of the typist lighting her stove and laying out food in tins is particularly vivid, and helps to create a sense of atmosphere. The line, old man with wrinkled female breasts, can see, is a particularly striking image that adds to the theme of gender and identity. The speaker, Tiresias, is an important figure in Greek mythology who was both male and female. Eliot uses this figure to explore the idea of gender and identity, and how these concepts can be fluid and shifting. Tiresias is also blind, which emphasizes the theme of sight and perception that runs throughout the poem. The repetition of, at the violet hour, creates a sense of structure and rhythm throughout the poem. It serves as a marker for the different moments and transitions that are explored in the poem. Line number 50 to 60. Out of the window perilously spread. Her drying combinations touched by the sun's last rays. On the divan are piled, at night her bed. Stockings, slippers, camisoles, and stays. I Tiresias, old man with wrinkled dugs, perceived the scene, and foretold the rest. I too awaited the expected guest. He, the young man carbuncular, arrives. A small house agent's clerk, with one bold stare. One of the low on whom assurance sits. As a silk hat on a Bradford millionaire. Explanation. These lines are from T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland, and describe a scene of a woman's bedroom, with her undergarments and clothes scattered about. The speaker, Tiresias, is an androgynous figure who possesses both male and female traits, and he perceives the scene with a detached, almost clinical eye. The use of the word, perilously, to describe the spread of the woman's drying combinations creates a sense of danger or risk, as if they are in danger of falling out of the window. This could be interpreted as a metaphor for the precarious nature of human relationships and the fragility of desire. The description of the young man who arrives as a small house agent's clerk, with one bold stare, creates a sense of contrast between him and the woman. He is described as one of the low, suggesting that he is of a lower social class than the woman. This juxtaposition highlights the class divide that exists between them and adds to the overall sense of disillusionment and decay in the poem. Overall, these lines capture a moment of intimacy and eroticism that is tinged with a sense of melancholy and despair. The image of the drying combinations touched by the sun's last rays suggests a fleeting moment of beauty that will soon fade away, much like the relationship between the two people in the scene. Line number 61 to 70. The time is now propitious, as he guesses. The meal is ended, she is bored and tired. Endeavors to engage her in caresses, which still are unreproved, if undesired. Flushed and decided, he assaults at once. Exploring hands encounter no defense. His vanity requires no response, and makes a welcome of indifference. And I Tiresias have suffered all. Enacted on this same divan or bed. I who have sat by Thebes below the wall, and walked among the lowest of the dead. Explanation. These lines are a continuation of the previous excerpt and describe the encounter between the young man and the woman. The speaker, Tiresias, observes as the young man makes advances towards the woman. The scene is described as propitious, indicating that it is the right moment for the young man to make his move. The woman is described as bored and tired, suggesting that she is not particularly interested in the young man's advances. However, she does not resist, and the young man's, exploring hands encounter no defense. The young man's actions are driven by his own vanity, and he expects no response from the woman other than indifference. The speaker, Tiresias, claims to have suffered all that is happening on the divan or bed. This suggests that he has experienced similar encounters in the past and that he knows what is going to happen next. The reference to having sat by Thebes below the wall, and having walked among the lowest of the dead, further emphasizes Tiresias's prophetic abilities and his knowledge of human behavior. Overall, the language and imagery in these lines create a sense of discomfort and unease, and the inclusion of Tiresias adds depth and complexity to the scene. Line number 71 to 80. Bestows one final patronizing kiss. And gropes his way, finding the stairs unlit. She turns and looks a moment in the glass. Hardly aware of her departed lover. Her brain allows one half-formed thought to pass. Well, now that's done, and I'm glad it's over. Single quote. When lovely woman stoops to folly and paces about her room again, alone. She smooths her hair with automatic hand. And puts a record on the gramophone. Explanation. The section explores the aftermath of an encounter between a man and a woman, with the woman reflecting on the encounter and the man leaving the scene. The woman is portrayed as having a sense of detachment from the encounter, referring to the man's actions as patronizing and simply wanting to move on from the experience. The line, "When lovely woman stoops to folly," suggests that the encounter was a mistake, a moment of weakness or poor judgment on her part. She is now alone and in the process of returning to her daily routine, represented by her smoothing her hair and playing music on the gramophone. The use of the phrase, automatic hand, suggests a sense of routine and habit, as if the woman is going through the motions of her daily life without really engaging with them. This idea of routine is further emphasized by the reference to the gramophone, which is a symbol of modern technology and the mechanization of society. The line, "and puts a record on the gramophone," also echoes an earlier line from the poem, "Hurry up please it's time," which is a repeated refrain that suggests the fast pace and sense of urgency of modern life. Overall, these lines depict a sense of disillusionment and detachment from modern life and its superficiality. Line number 81 to 89. This music crept by me upon the waters. And along the Strand, up Queen Victoria Street. Oh city city, I can sometimes hear. Beside a public bar in Lower Thames Street. The pleasant whining of a mandolin. And a clatter and a chatter from within. Where fishmen lounge at noon, where the walls of Magnus Martyr hold inexplicable splendor of Ionian white and gold. Explanation. In this section of the poem, the speaker reflects on the city of London and the sounds he hears there. The first line, "This music crept by me upon the waters," suggests a haunting or ghostly quality to the music the speaker hears. The repetition of the word, city, emphasizes the importance of the urban landscape in the poem. The speaker's description of the sound of a mandolin and the chatter of fishmen in Lower Thames Street suggests a scene of everyday life in the city, which contrasts with the more abstract and philosophical themes of the poem. The mention of Magnus Martyr, a church in the City of London, introduces the theme of religious and cultural history, as the church is described as holding inexplicable splendor of Ionian white and gold. This line suggests the continuity of culture and civilization, even in the midst of a modern, urban environment. Overall, these lines convey a sense of the complex layers of history and culture that exist within the city, as well as the juxtaposition of the mundane and the sublime. The use of sensory detail, particularly sound, adds to the vividness of the scene and contributes to the overall effect of the poem.